their attention. Go ahead, a smile. Support us. Sure, sit down wherever you're at, baby.
Are you going to stick around this general area?
Yeah. Let's catch them when they're coming out.
Who's coming out?
Any of them. Let's go put some on their cars.
Now, when you go in the courthouse, you gotta be still. You hear me?
Leon, listen. I don't know. What'd you say, Sam? What do you think about the museum, Sam?
Save our museum.
Pretty yummy yum.
Pretty yum yum.
Rock.
Come on up. Joe.
Joey. The kids took off. Can we go in there?
Come on. Stop right here. Stop right here. I want to come on in. Julianne, please get in. Mike, come on, please. Eleanor.
We're gonna just call on the elders.
Okay, follow me, and everybody do not holler, yell. Just follow me, okay? Come on. Yeah. All right. Please remember this, okay?
Carry it through here. You gotta be quiet in here.
Save our museum.
Yeah. Anyone that walks by.
See somebody.
When we're going in.
No, they're not. We're not.
Get out before I kill you. Whoa. This is really organized.
Start over here. Okay, let's go over here.
Sammy, get your hand out of there. Sammy, hold the phone, man. Anybody looking out up there?
I don't see anybody.
I did say no.
What's this? What's this?
I know what he'll do to me. He'll put me in the upper line. I think he's a good judge.
Well, we're actually right there.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was like
Zoom her in as a super button. We'll be up there.
You all come, please.
Well, how you doing? There you go.
Her and I will stay down. You and I stay down and let the rest of them go in case the TV cameras come.
If they come and get us.
We will. We will.
Are y'all gonna be?
Okay. I'm going to follow these guys. If you're going to be here, can I use the tripod here?
Yeah.
You're going to sit here?
We'll be right
Sure,
here.
and I'll stay out here. I don't want to walk any more than I have to.
Okay.
I wouldn't. I accidentally.
The other half, my family, was down.
Where's the commissioner's office? Huh? County commissioner's office. Where's it? I don't know. I asked him. He said it was fourth floor.
Yeah, well, she told me the fourth floor. No. Ask her.
Ask her. Four here. Three or four. Where's the county commissioner's office?
The county commissioner's
Yeah,
office?
the county, you know,
County clerk?
county council, or, you know, the commissioner kind of
The councilman, the county council's office is on the third floor. Third floor, the county clerk's is on the first.
Okay, how about the commissioner? The guys that you know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. What's wrong, Sam? She didn't know. Where's the county commissioner's offices? You know, the county council?
County council?
Third floor, that side of the
Third floor, so we're on the wrong floor, huh? Yeah. Are we disrupting you? We don't want to, that's
not
fine.
disrupting me.
Okay, great.
But just by way of advice, I mean, I'm not going to do anything, but there's a penal code section that prohibits
The noise and everything, yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Third floor. Okay. Third, you said.
Third floor.
As long as we keep it, see, we're not bothering him or anything, but as long as we keep it down, we're all right. But there is a penal code section.
I'm gonna actually jab Joey in the face with the
Oh, that was me. Sorry about that.
Whoops. You know, a guy can get sliced.
Okay, ready? Let go.
There is a penal code section that says we can't do this. Here, in this bill, he just told me, but he said, as long as we're not being disrupted, so there's no problem at this point. I think we ought to walk in the middle of that fire. Excuse me, we're just the people, we came in to watch. Of course, that's probably Judge Mann who told me today. Golden throws all in jail.
You guys won't give me my building.
There's 3, Mike.
When I hit 3,
He wants that building real bad. He's always wanted it.
Really?
He had his ready to move his house in there.
the old court.
Here we come. Here we go.
Forget the planning commission. Let's go to the commission, the county council. Not county council, but the county commission. Do every floor, Joe. Here? That's the county council. That's just attorney's view. Check on those double doors, Joe. Richard, where's the commissioner's office?
The who's?
The county commissioner.
What's the county? Old Board of Supervisors? First floor.
First floor?
First floor, you know, big lobby down there?
We probably don't want us on the first floor anymore.
Well, they're in session, though.
Yeah, they just released.
Okay.
Yeah. So we thought, well, we'll come by here and give you that time.
Yeah.
You go outside, sign our petition.
Sign a petition of a county employee.
No, that's all the county players. I understand. There's no
Appreciate your position.
first floor.
Yeah, the Board of Supervisors?
Yeah.
First floor office.
Have a good day.
All righty, see you later.
Okay. First floor, Joe.
Andrew's suggesting the base about 6 times a day.
What?
Andrew's suggesting the base about 6 times.
I'm gonna accidentally hit join with this thing. Oops, camera's on.
We're just coming in.
Yeah. Mike, in here.
I don't know if,
You have one of the supervisors in here? Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi, are you a supervisor?
Yes.
We'd like to ask you not to turn the museum into a courtroom,
All right.
okay? And we were protesting that
Who is
today.
we?
All of us right here. My name is Cliff Taylor.
Hi.
Talking directly with you. But we wanna keep the museum as a museum, and we want the hours to be back extended for the tourists and our kids.
All right.
And we also would like,
Well, there's a point being made here, it's the request is from the courts, but staff has prepared some memo. Lori, would you like to make comment, please?
Well, I don't think there's anybody in the room who hasn't seen the memo. I've seen them up all over the courthouses, so I think everybody knows what it says. Basically, the Superior Court requested that they receive authorization to use the second floor of the museum to hold the upcoming Corbett and Hess trial. Upon receipt of that request, I, as the office space person on our staff, put together a meeting with Will DeShock and Donna Howard and Don Barrett and myself to discuss what would be entailed in that move. At that point, Mr. Barrett reviewed for me the alternatives that he had looked at, including the TG&Y building, the Lions Club, Kelseyville Justice Court, and several other places. I asked him about the possibility of using existing facilities with overflow being here in the chambers, and he indicated that it would be too disruptive to the business of the court on a day-to-day basis for a period of 2 to 6 months in order to do that. This trial is expected to last from 2 to 6 or 8 months. It will be conducted 4 or 5 days a week, and so it will require a full-blown court atmosphere. It's also anticipated that there will be 2 juries for this one trial, which means that we need 2 separate jury facilities, including restroom facilities. So with those parameters, it was challenging logistically to find a space that would meet those and would not require structural modifications, and also we were hoping to avoid paying rent for a period of 2 to 6 months because the funding comes right out of the general fund. So we're looking for a county facility that would house adequately the trial. When we looked at the museum, it had been, the top floor has the space and the room set up for juries and judges' chambers and the courtroom itself. It is not ideal, certainly for a number of reasons, security among them, both for the trial and for the museum exhibit. I think I outlined in my memo the downside to the museum, and also gave the recommendation that I think it needs to be left up to the museum coordinator and the department head, Will DeShock, to what extent the museum can remain open, and they can coordinate that with the judge. Should the board decide to authorize use of the second floor, given the alternatives that the court looked at, the TG&Y Lions Club and Kelseyville Justice Court, and the building out of the jail, I still think that the second floor of the museum makes more sense than any of those facilities. I do think, however, that there are alternatives that exist that have not been looked into. One suggestion that I think was an excellent one was made to me this morning by a member of the public, and that is to hold the trial during the evening hours. And that way, the regular day-to-day operation of the court could continue unhindered, and the other trial could be held at night in existing facilities, and we would have use of both jury rooms at that time, and you wouldn't have the security problems. Additionally, I think that the courts and we can look at more closely handling any overflow trials down here in board chambers every day but Tuesday. And I think that there's a viable alternative that can be explored as well. I know that the courts don't necessarily agree with me on this, but that's what we're all here for. And so with that, that's basically one of the things that I do want to stress, though, and thank Will DeShock and Donna Howard, because they were very cooperative and very helpful during the discussion, in spite of the downside to a facility that they both hold very close to their hearts. So they went above and beyond the call of duty in cooperating with us and realizing that regardless of what decision is made, somebody's going to be inconvenienced someplace. And they bent over backwards to be accommodating.
Okay, and that's Donna, kudos, and Will, I think you're the best. Kudos to you for trying to make a situation, to present the questions that can be dealt with one way or the other. I would like to know, Don, if there's, I have had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Barrett and indicated a number of issues that need to be addressed. One being security, one being parking and concerns in the downtown area, another being the potential of a permanent use as opposed to a temporary use of the facility. There's a whole slew of other things that have been brought up, but those are some of them. You mentioned that you were that there was a 2 to 6 week during this early stage of jury selection.
I think it's appropriate if I make my presentation.
Well, good, Don.
If I may, I'd like to stand over here, use this microphone. I do feel it is more courteous to look at the people to whom I'm addressing these comments, not only the board, but to members and interested parties of all kinds. I will take a little time. This is a very important issue, and it should not be rushed, and I think we'll just have to relax and devote the proper attention to this very vital issue. First, I would like to state that the vital issue that we're dealing with here today is not simply facilities. It is the proper setting for a criminal trial with capital punishment being sought. This is a particularly unique situation because there are 2 minor defendants and their cases have been consolidated, and the visiting judge who has been assigned by the Judicial Council, Judge Barrasso, has determined that there will be 2 juries. There will be separate juries because there are 2 defendants, and the prosecution and the defense have clearly indicated that there are issues which they feel important to be heard and judged only in relation to their particular clients. They're entitled to that. The judge has determined that they're entitled to that. Those are the parameters so far that Judge Barrasso has set forth. Of course, the basic consideration for a trial of this nature, or any trial of criminal nature of this serious background, is that the facility should allow a fair and a correct trial. Now, this means, to those of you who are not familiar with these rather detailed statistics, that there be such things as an adequate environment in terms of the distance between the jurors and the witness and the other parties, that there be proper lighting, sufficient air conditioning so that there be physical opportunity to pay attention, etc. These are rather common sense things, but we really don't think of them when we deal with an issue which has raised such a vital reaction from many interested parties in the community. However, they are essential to consider. We're dealing here within the obligation on the part of the court, the judicial branch of government, to conduct a fair and proper hearing in this matter, and we're dealing with the obligation of the Board of Supervisors to provide the proper facilities for that environment. The proper facilities, I might point out, as someone had already mentioned, Gloria, I believe, that the jury rooms, if there are 2 juries, must be separate, and there must be separate restroom accommodations. Again, a point of legal perspective which is important to understand. When the 2 juries are designated, and by the way, there'll have to be several alternates, so we're dealing with 12 plus 3 is 15 times 2 is 30. So one of the dimensions here is we're dealing with a double jury which will have 30 persons who need proper seating accommodations so they can see the participants and make their judgments. Those 2 juries must be kept separate. They must be kept separate from mixing with the public as much as possible, separate And when they have to enter and retire and go to the jury deliberation room, or they have to go to the bathroom, etc., when there are breaks for lunch, etc., we have to be extremely careful, those of us concerned with the environment and the conduct of the trial, and particularly those in the security, law enforcement aspect, the judge himself, the bailiff, and others responsible for the conduct of that trial, so that there will be, in the end, a fair trial. And that means that parties who are interested might try to influence one of the jurors by making a comment if they come close to them, or attempt to reach them in some way when they're passing through the hallway. This may seem mundane to some of you, but it is a vital element in the conduct of the trial and the justice which is sought by all of us. Now, regarding the court operations which are already existing, of course the courts looked at their own operations first to see if it would be possible to accommodate this unique trial with these dimensions I've begun to explain. And we looked at the operations which we are conducting in the light of the prospect of a 2 to 6 month trial. People say, well, why does it take so long? I've already begun to explain that when you handle a jury, now double the ordinary size, it takes double the time to get a jury of that size. Secondly, we have the question of the amount of operations that are conducted, which many of you may not be aware of, and that is there are approximately 2,000 cases handled by the Superior Courts each year, 2,000 new cases filed every year, and 2,000 cases disposed of. Most of you are probably aware of the criminal jury trials. Those trials get all the attention. You're probably not aware that 85% of the time, energy, and facilities are devoted to the civil aspects. These are people who need to have such matters as divorce, custody of children decided, probate of wills, contracts to be enforced. There's a whole gamut of hearings and proceedings which don't get much attention, but they are just as vital as any of the other operations we're talking about. Some time ago we had occasion to examine the court operations in terms of this flow of important court business.
This is not a generality, it's specific to the discussion at hand.
It is specific, and I will have to ask you for the attention.
Well,
And
I want to make clear to you that it's important that you get out as much information as you can to these people, but I don't want it to be used as a forum for general discussion of court
It
operations.
is not a general discussion. I'm showing exactly on the point of why the facilities that we have in operation now cannot be disturbed for 6 months to accommodate a single trial. We had occasion to look at the statistics in 1990, 1 month only, single month, which was February, the shortest month of the year, with 2 holidays, so that makes it extra short. So we're looking at a very conservative estimate of the kinds of cases, the volume of cases that are heard, in which we're going to tell you why we don't think there's an opportunity to disrupt. In that particular month, there were 496 matters set for hearing in the Superior Court. These included 16 general civil court trials, 14 general civil jury trials, 23 criminal jury trials, 46 hearings on motions in civil cases, 91 hearings on motions in criminal cases, 2 trials on family law matters, 60 hearings on family law matters, and a whole host of other such hearings. The total was 783 matters, 496 plus 287 cases, involving separate file handling, separate calendar consideration, and separate judicial proceedings. Now, if the trial, which is expected in the People versus Corporate and Hennis case, that trial is expected by all the experts who have indicated any opinion, a minimum of 2 months to determine the jury question, the jury selection. If a jury cannot be selected, then of course the change of venue would be applicable and the case would be taken out of the county. If the case does go to a jury, there is a jury, then there will be several months more of actual trial with the two juries, as I mentioned, with delays involved, which require one jury to leave the courtroom while they're hearing, the other jury hears evidence against the other defendant. We're talking approximately 6 months. Now, in that time, over 1,000 cases will be disposed of and dealt with by the Superior Court in its normal business. Therefore, it is the conclusion of the court, Superior Court, that it is not feasible, and indeed it would be an enormous eruption and disruption in the normal court proceedings dealing with all the vital interests of all you people and everyone else in this county, and therefore it is not feasible to hold the trial in one of the Superior Court courtrooms. So the next step was to try to find a suitable alternative. And I've spent considerable time on that with others concerned. And I'd like to indicate that we're looking here for some facilities that are, first of all, large enough to hold a public trial with 2 juries. You have 30 on the jury and about 15 court people. That's the judge and the bailiff and the clerk and all the other court personnel. So we have 45 to begin with, without mentioning access to the public. This must be a public trial. There must be access for the press. We're looking for a rather large single room, a courtroom, plus the 2 separate jury rooms, plus adequate separate restroom facilities. Those facilities are not hard to find, are not easy to find. And in addition to those that were mentioned, that referring to my particular personal efforts, first of all, in addition to the existing courtrooms, I looked at the City Hall, I looked at the Fairgrounds, 3 buildings there, Fritch Hall and 2 others. I looked at the TGY old building, which will have some 10,000 square feet still left after the bowling alley goes in, if it does. I looked at the old Radio Shack building. I looked at the 2nd Avenue building, sometimes called the Bronson building. And I looked at the occupational education building at the new facility, the new jail. I looked at the Senior Activities Center. I looked at the Justice Court in Kelseyville and considered the Justice Court in Upper Lake. I did not visit the Lions Club. Someone recommended that because it had a long bar. That was a joke. I did not pursue any other possible facilities. I did not have any indication that any other facilities would be acceptable. Now, I'm going to limit...
I'm wondering if I can... I think there needs to be 2 parts of this discussion. First is the museum under consideration, and then, yes, let's take a look at the alternatives and what other efforts are going to be made. And if the board has an objection, we'd first like to see, before we go on, so we can use our time as best we can. And I'd like to commend Don for his presentation so far. I think he's going into the detail that people need. Is there any board member who agrees with the recommendation to use the museum as the courtroom for this trial?
So,
Don, I don't think there's one. Review what alternatives are in detail and what the problem is, review the use of this facility here and how we can make it work for City Hall.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be happy to give you just a brief indication on some of these other facilities which come to mind. For example, City Hall. I was hopeful that City Hall could be used at least for the jury selection process. It is not suitable, of course, for the actual trial itself. There are not separate jury rooms available. There are not separate restrooms available. For the large hall, the chambers area, that might be suitable for selection of a jury over a couple of months. However, I've been informed by the Sheriff's Department that the Sheriff's Department cannot ensure suitable security at that location for either phase of the trial. That is up to the Sheriff's Department, but that is a statement I've been authorized to make.
the City Hall.
The City Hall, yeah. fairgrounds, you have several large barns. They're actually open, big rooms. They have no accommodations. They have some of them no flooring, no air conditioning, virtually nothing. Entire furnishings would have to be found. And again, when we think of alternatives now, although the courts are not recommending that the museum be closed or that it be used except the second floor, plus the public bathrooms on the first floor. We're looking for something that is more than a huge warehouse, such as the TGY building would be, such as the Radio Shack would be. All of these other buildings are considered unsuitable because of either absolutely no furnishings or accommodation whatsoever, or inadequate accommodations as required by law to satisfy the requirements and so on. So many of them are simply not available. The fairgrounds are not available for a 4-week period, mid-August and mid-September, so you've got problems there. Senior activity centers have the luncheons and they have other commitments, and I contacted them. They're not available, even if they would accommodate such a special operation. Justice Court has only got 600 square feet, so right from the beginning it's totally inadequate. So we're thrown back on the question of what could be an adequate facility. The occupational educational building visited yesterday. It's got approximately 1,200 square feet in one big room. It is absolutely barren. It has not been accepted from the contract standpoint.
Oh, really?
I understand that there is a question of legal authorization for use as a trial court, which is not my consideration. There are no luncheon facilities nearby. There are other problems, including I found the snake. We killed it, so that snake won't be there. There is no suitable restroom facilities there from a security standpoint in terms of bringing the defendants through a public area. So from our court standpoint, that building is not suitable. I would just like to conclude that it is our interest, it is the interest of the board, it is the interest of all the citizenry to find the proper environment and facilities to conduct a fair trial for all concerned, with the safety of everyone in mind. And we will cooperate as fully as we can within the limitations of our judgment, the court's judgment, in terms of the legal aspects and the administration of justice. Thank you.
Now there's a question. Libby?
I would like for you to discuss the pros and cons of having it at night.
This idea has just been presented here. I just heard it about an hour ago. And I have no response at all at this time that's official or in any way considered. I would like to say that we're talking here about all the parties involved in terms of 30 jurors being willing to serve for 6 months, coming night after night, 4 or 5 nights a week, to whatever facility it might be, or to this facility here. That's one consideration. The extra time in terms of money, we're all trying to provide the most economical and feasible facility. And I have no idea what the staff might produce in terms of extra time, time and a half. I don't know whether the Sheriff's Department has at all an idea about availability of sheriff's deputies and bailiffs at nighttime. That's somebody else's consideration.
I think Don's pointing out that, again, if we basically are not interested in the museum as an option, so we're going to have to go back to square one and actually throw out walls that's out there. It needs to be more discussion. Bill, you had your, no?
Well, my thought comes to mind is that we could use the existing court to do this thing, try to adjust the municipal court in the board chambers, with the exception of Tuesday, use the municipal court as the trial room, use the jury room there, and the vacated building office as a separate jury room, especially in the light that both juries are not in the courtroom at the same time. I think that facility could be used then.
Of course, I can't speak for the municipal court. It is regarded as the most secure of the 3 courtroom facilities. I can't speak of the possible interruption of the municipal court activities.
Mr. Wilcox?
May I ask a question?
You can in just a second. And then I'm going to make you come up here and talk to the mic, but just, you have to hold on a second. Walt?
No, it was not.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Wasn't even considered.
The Superior Court considered its facilities and its operations in terms of this prospect, that's correct, but not the municipal court.
Looked at the fairgrounds, and looked at the city halls, and looked at others, and never looked at their own courts.
Well, first of all, their own courts is, yes, our own courts is a Superior Court, but I hasten to add that there should be a municipal court judge here to respond to this. I indicated to you at some length, in which you finally objected to the length, about the interruption in the business of the court. So I assume that it'll be equal interruption in the business, day-to-day business of the municipal court, who happen to have a larger volume in terms of total cases. Whether they can be handled some other way would be up to them.
The building across the street, would you elaborate on it, on Second Avenue?
Was that the building you checked, the church, old church building?
What is it called? The yellow,
Was it the Second Street?
no, I did, I'm sorry. I meant the building that's yellow colored.
That's a possibility, too. It's the Second Street building that's right across here, 3 stories.
First I've heard of it recommended, but I'll be glad to look at it.
When you talk about security, we've got 4 courts up there, and we've held court here in this room many times, so I don't think that the sheriff would have any problem with security in those situations, because we've already done that and continue to do it. That'd be an assumption on my part. The courts being used during the day, even the Superior Courts. Apparently, it wasn't considered then being able to use them at night for this trial?
No,
Wasn't discussed?
no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, what I again note that there is no interest and there will be some, yes?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Supervisor Wilcox asked about the municipal court, and staff did call, I did call municipal court and discuss the use of that facility with them. They were not enthusiastic about giving up their court. Judge Mann mentioned that on Mondays alone they have 130 to 150 on the criminal calendar. But again, we did not at that point discuss any evening hours whatsoever with any of the courts. So.
Okay, we will take some formal action on the request after we get some public input. We will, just to shorten this up a bit, I'd like to make note that no one so far has stepped forward on this podium to support that request. So I'm going to take comment, and anyone has any suggested alternatives we haven't thought about, and now would be a good time to bring them up. Okay, thank you, Don. Could you make yourself available in case there's a question here? It is uncomfortable up here. That's fine. Okay, sir, you're going to come forward, identify yourself, and there's a pin with you hanging on a string there.
Thank you. My name is Joe Conner. I'm a citizen of Lakeport, a voter, a taxpayer. I work at the museum, and I mow my lawns on Saturday. Okay? But I have a question for Mr. Barrett. He's so eloquent in speaking. Is he looked at all the locations except one. That's the county court building itself. All the facilities are here. You need loudspeakers, space, adequate lighting, ventilation. I don't understand why this can't be done at night. No. Would you please answer me that, sir?
I think he's already made very, he's the third out here. He's made very clear that they haven't reviewed that yet. I'm glad you brought it up again to remind us that is something we're going to ask them to review. They don't have a response.
Everything's all paid for. To improve the museum, I know you're, I understand, that it was a waste of bucks. It was a waste of money. You're looking at over $100,000 to do what you have to do for that trial, for that double header. Okay? But thank you very much.
Okay, noting there has been no money expended. Okay, I want to make sure, Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks. You need to sign your name in there. Or print it, please, so we can read it. Well, I don't know, you're right.
It's terrible, it really is. I've never mentioned before, yeah, it's terrible.
Okay, what we need this for is Sharon's going to have to do the minutes, and she has to note who spoke. So we need to have you speak into the tape.
Even my training's bad.
All right, if you have comments you'd like to make, you want to go ahead. Mike, and get lined up just where you did. Don, you're going to want to hear this. Okay. Where'd she? Someone have a pen, we can share with you.
My name is Mike. My name is Mike Umbrella, and it's obvious that we need to explore this a little bit farther. We need to investigate maybe possibly other places. I personally am a lover of Indian art, and I would feel very bad if I couldn't take my children to this place to study. To me, it is a library that is keeping art treasures that we are losing at an alarming rate. I would like to see us spend a lot more time exploring other places and other avenues. What I didn't hear was the old Kmart, which is a possibility. I don't know. I haven't given this thing a whole lot of thought and a whole lot of time, but I do know that I don't want to see all this Indian art moved and boxed up. It's also precious to me. Thank you very much.
And you know that's not under consideration here, but
I would like to see that, if possibly, we both come today and say that the
we
museum
will vote
is,
immediately, but it's kind of a courtesy, let people speak before we vote.
that we could see you all vote tonight, or today, excuse me, and say that the museum is definitely out of the picture.
We will finish the discussion with a vote on the very item.
Thank you. Thank you.
There is no one who stepped forward, not one so far who stepped forward supporting
Thank
the
you.
request. Okay. Identify yourself, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Eleanor Marcus. I am one of the green thumbers that work at the museum. I haven't done this before, so please excuse my way. I want to say, we're all, with the budget and everything, I'm going to kind of say it a little round out if I can. With the budget, we're all kind of having a squeeze on our pocketbook and everything. And, people all of a sudden come along and say, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to get out of my way. But we're the people, and we got to stand up and fight. Don't let them take this museum. I know this gentleman, I spoke to him over there to the museum. He says, his people were from that museum, sure. Originally, he had people there that never, put up money and everything. But we're the downright people of the county. I've only been here 2 years. I love it. And don't let them close the museum. This is what we're all here to fight for. And we've been fighting all day, and we're going to keep it up. God bless you.
Just come up, and while you're coming up, I'm going to make a comment. Maybe that you'll need to take that vote before everybody realizes that. If there's one other alternative. Ma'am, could you identify yourself, please, for the tape?
My name is Nicole Powell, and I just want to thank everybody for not closing the museum.
Okay, that's Nicole Powell, and she wants to state her position of support for our position. Is that right? Everybody hear that?
Yeah,
Thank you, Nicole.
All right.
You're a clone for your mother. Again, if there's any other alternatives, we might as well use all the brain power in here to come up with some ideas.
Mr. Schumer, I just thank you for the sign. Was there anything you
looking so much as to where to put the big trial as thinking about where we can put some of the other business of the court. And that seems to me that in Muni or in Kelseyville or in the city hall, that where security problems won't arise in day-to-day, as other than family court, of course, that we should just be looking, settle on this building for the big trial, and then look for places to put other things, which just makes so much more sense to me.
I know that there have been some supervisors who have that same view. Okay? Hold that mic down, please.
My name is Marlon Adams, and I go to the museum a lot, and I really enjoy going there, and I've learned a lot of things there, and I have this suggestion. There are a lot of old buildings that are really big, that like the old Kmart building, that nobody uses that much now.
We could use. That's a very good suggestion. Thank you. Did you find when that line's finished, we will take our vote, and we'll get this discussion finished, and we'll move to alternatives.
My name's Joe Nelson. I'm a pretty new resident of the area. When I used to come up here just to visit as a tourist, that was one of the main things that I'd always stop at. And even since I live here, I believe
A couple to work with us without saying, hey, put volunteers in there. Volunteers are going to ruin what we've got. They don't know what you're doing as far as taking care of the place. Newcomers do. Donna Howard does. And, hey, you want to hear a big tickler? You know where I'm going to get in Dutch?
You have to be on the thing.
I'm sorry. You know where I'm going to get in Dutch? I'm going to say this, and I'm probably really going to get it. There's a lot of people that make more money per week than I do sitting in this courtroom. I make $4.25 an hour, $91.50 a week, I believe it is. Now, why can't the people that work above us take a cut and keep our museum open? Yeah, I know you're all saying you spoke out of place, but it's true.
Let's make a couple things clear. This is a public forum. You
No,
can say anything you want. And let me also make it clear we have an invitation to you and anyone else in the room. Do we know what day the budget comes up for the museum? Because we are about to go into final budget session.
Please,
At that point, we're going to make those decisions. So if you want to be involved, and come to the budget. We know they're from 16th to the 20th, but I don't know exactly which day. But you can find that out from our offices. Or
well, I just heard a little bird not too long ago say, and I'm not saying no names, that they said that we have to become self-sufficient in order to stay open. And I think there's enough people here to say, hey, the county has the money and they can kick it in. God bless.
I'd like to make a note on that point. I'm going to close the public hearing and we're going to give you a decision. Paul?
I think that at this point in time, there may not be any thought whatsoever by anybody, and I don't have any reason to believe there has been, to once that museum upstairs is used for a court, that it will always be a court and even perhaps overflow downstairs. Nevertheless, it just doesn't seem reasonable to spend the money that it would cost to revamp upstairs without continually maintaining it as a court. This isn't the first time something like this is or can come up. I think the museum itself should expand upstairs if and when we can get the funds to do it. We certainly have the things in stock and in storage, through stock, 2 stories of that building. But we don't have the money. Hopefully, as somebody said earlier, there's some good and no bad, that those of you who have now seen the, how should I say, the tenuous position of county buildings in the financial position of counties today, that now that you've seen how close this has come, that you will continue to working with the curator and Donna, and perhaps both floors can be open without any cost at all if it's done right and if enough people work towards that.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes, Madam Chair, first off, I think obviously, for a lot of reasons here, the museum, to me, is not an option before we started this hearing today, so, but and it looks like that's a done deal, so my concerns here now are how do we work out the problem with the jury? It's bad enough I'm trying to find a building somewhere that has 2 totally separate sets of restrooms for male and female. Let alone we're coming up with a scenario here we have to have 3 totally separate sets of restrooms. 3, and that'd be careful, the judges will have to go. Same rooms in public. But the truth is, that's a security problem. Having the judge and attorneys to want to have to use the public facility. So you really need 4 sets, and it really, yes. The museum is all part of the same discussion. I think the museum is a good deal.
Can we get that all?
You want that fine?
What I'd like to do now is, before we go on, is make sure that you know these letters are going into the record. One is from Lenore Clark, I see she's here, opposing the use of the museum. One from Mildred Pickersfield, Marge Ingebrigtsen, Sue Budberg, Sandy Davis, Barbara Friedrich, Sandy Holquist, opposing the use of the museum. They're going into the record. Mildred Pickersfield, opposing the use of the museum. Call from Bob Adams of Clovis, opposing the use of the museum. Those will be put into the record. We have another call. Call from Liz Monsdale, opposing the use of the museum, offering TG Wire food chains as a better option. And the letter from the Heritage Commission we already noted that we have here in the file, opposing the use of the museum. You have a petition?
And Millie Cost, concern.
Millie?
Cost, COSD.
Cost from Lucerne.
And Liz from Lucerne.
And that's, I've already read them. Petitions opposing the closure, the use of the museum. And if you have petitions, I think close the public hearing. Those are the kind of things you want to bring up during the public hearing. We want original copies. We want
May I have original copies of this? Can we have copies?
Sure, of course. I know you want to make sure you get a hold of everybody. Okay, and then there's a presentation now, and Bill, I'll get you this text. There's a presentation of a petition. And you want to identify yourself for the tape, please? You have to.
I'm Carol Martinelli, and I also work with the income program at the museum. I am generation from Upper Lake.
Good. The undersigned is not in favor of the County of Lake using the Lakeport Museum as a courtroom, whereas the members of the East Lake Range would like to see the Lakeport Museum remain intact, whereas the member of the East Lake Range requests Lake County Board of Suits to vote against destroying the historical value of the ancestry of Lake County, therefore be it resolved that the member of the East Lake Range is not in favor of any changes to the present structure of the Lakeport Museum, and this signatures are attached. Bill has the floor first. Let me just see if Bill. Oh, you had a question, Bill.
Yes. Madam Chair and ladies and gentlemen, I think it's great that you people showed up here to state your position and to let your voice be heard. I do recognize the fact that we have, in the preliminary budget hearing, we cut down the curator's hours, and we have to look at this along this line. And I recognize the fact that Chairman Mackey mentioned the fact that be here on budget day when we're discussing the library. I think that we see the answer to a big problem that our country has today here. We need to get more government out and more volunteers and more people working in this city. I really feel that there is an avenue here to keep that museum open all the time. And I feel it is through the volunteerism. I really do. And the Green Thumb organization, I appreciate those. But I would emphasize to you, not only be here when we're doing the museum budget, because then you're looking at one item only. We have many, many items to deal with when it comes to budget. And to see the overall picture of why we have to do things, you need to be here for more than just one item. And it puts us in a bad position where you only come in and see one item, and you don't know what we're having to deal with the others, and you're tunnel visioned into one area. And I do feel that it's so important to have public input because we need this. This board up here needs to hear from you people. We need to hear from you on all items. We need to hear from you on good items. We need to hear from you on bad items such as this. So please do not stay away. Get involved. Come and let us know what you need because we need the input. It's difficult to sit up here and make these decisions that we have to make. But when we have the help from the citizenry, it makes it a lot simpler. And I definitely appreciate your being here and speaking out against the closure of the museum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. I'd like to note that the Friends of the Museum have presented 148 signatures, keep the Lake County Museum open, done within 4 hours. Those will also go into the record. And they're getting copies now. Mr. Wilcox?
Yes, I
Have the vote.
Martinelli. Your father was, or grandfather was?
My great-grandfather was grandfather Pittman, and the other one was, great-grandfather was Stout. One was in Upper Lake, and one was in the Twin Valley area.
And did not one of them run for Board of Supervisors 1 year?
Maybe
John
Martinelli was my ex-husband's uncle, and I was with him. I knew them very well. It had to be 6 feet to that deal. I left home and for 33 years, and now I just turned 60. And so I will be fighting for my community and all the rights of these rights of children and
Thank you very much, and thank you for the petition. Okay, we're about to take some action here. Mr. Wilcox, you want to finish?
I have one more comment. After the action that we're about to take is done, I'd like to direct this to Don, if you're period upstairs. It seems weighing the cost, the time, the need for facilities, the cost to meet those criteria, safety, everything else. It seems that the existing courts are the most viable, and the fact that it hasn't been considered by the judges, I'd ask that they take a look at that. The inconvenience may be to a few people, the judges or the juries or what have you, but the cost, I think, would be even less if we were able to work out something or working the courts both day and night, if you will, during that 6 months period.
Okay, let's finish up the discussion. I'm looking for a motion now to deny the request to use the museum. Mr. Merriman.
I will make a motion to deny the use of the museum for the court.
Yeah, that's
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? You didn't hear 5 voices, but if there's no spoken no, it's unanimous. That's a unanimous decision to reject the request. Now, I'd like to take a 2-minute break, then we're going to come to Don, if you'll stay, please, and Jim. Right, because I want to continue the discussion as Gary, unless we're doing that, Gary, hold on, because we still have to figure an alternative out here. Right, we're going to come back to that. Maybe you wish to stay for that, we appreciate it, but the museum is no longer